my phone? No? Okay. Hey guys, what's up Facebook peeps? What's up, what's up, what's up? I hope you guys are all having an amazing Tuesday. I am coming on today to chat with you guys and share a little bit about why I make videos about addiction and recovery and how I got started and all that good stuff. Let me see if that looks okay. I guess that's okay, isn't it? So I get a lot of questions from people, I guess trolls more or less, on my accounts about why do you keep talking about addiction? Why don't you just stop? Get over it. You're sober now. And so I thought I would share with you guys like why I share my story and why I talk about it, because obviously some people don't understand. So whenever I was in my active addiction, there wasn't like people online sharing and recovering out loud. There was still like a really big stigma surrounding addiction. And there was also the belief that if you shared that you were like breaking anonymity. A lot of people are working 12-step programs, and they felt like they shouldn't be recovering out loud. But that's just not the case anymore. Now we're all recovering out loud. And so I can remember, being on social media back then, and if I had been able to find people that were like me, that were struggling and sharing about getting sober, I think it would have helped me a lot. It probably would have changed my life. And so that's why I share so much about addiction and recovery. I also share about it because it's my passion. I have found my passion in sharing my life with people. I enjoy helping people. If I didn't enjoy doing it, believe me, I wouldn't keep doing it, But I really, really enjoy sharing my story and helping others. Hey, Sarah. It gets me excited, especially when I can see other people like relating to my story and saying, if I hadn't found you, Nicole, I probably would have never gotten sober. Or Nicole, you gave me the confidence and helped me to want to reach out and get help. And that's a big deal to me. That is huge. And that is why I talk about it so much. Also, I believe that there's plenty of people online talking about recovery and doing like recovery meetings. And I used to do that a lot. And I still do a little bit of recovery meetings here on my lives. Hey, Sandy. Hey, Sarah. But people that are in active addiction can't relate to recovery videos, And so that's why I share my past stories of what I went through when I was in active addiction, because more people can relate to what I went through in my active addiction. You know what I'm saying? And so I have figured out, because listen to me, it's a hard decision to start talking about addiction. Okay. Let me just tell you, because I started out doing recovery meetings. Okay. I started out sharing my story and doing live streams about recovery, doing step studies, 12-step step studies, meditations, all kinds of stuff like that, right? And so it was a hard decision for me to come away from that and start making content about what I did in active addiction. It was hard, one, because I was ashamed and I was afraid that people were going to judge me. Two, because I knew that by sharing about what I did in active addiction, I knew that other people that were in recovery were going to judge me and tell me that I was telling war stories and that I shouldn't be talking about what I did in my active addiction. And three, I knew that my family was going to see it and hear a lot of the horrendous things that I did when I was in active addiction. But I went ahead and I did it anyway. And it's the best decision I ever made. I love sharing about my life today and how recovery has changed my life and what I do to stay sober. But I also have enough wherewithal to know that people who are struggling, they're like, what is a meditation? What is a 12-step? So that's why I share about the crazy shit I did when I was high on meth and other drugs. And it worked. A lot of people started reaching out to me saying that they could relate to my story and letting me know that they did some of the same things I did. And so you know what else it did? Because they were telling me, hey, Nicole, watching your video helped me realize that I shouldn't be ashamed. I'm not the only one who shot meth with toilet water. I'm not the only one who traded my ass for drugs. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not alone. It also made me realize that I wasn't alone, that I wasn't this horrible, bad person, that other people made the same mistakes that I made. And so it helped me in the long run. So this decision to kind of like shift my content and share more openly about what I did in active addiction, although it was a hard decision to make, like, I'm glad that I made that decision, because also it has helped me heal so much. Because I share so openly about the bad shit I did, it has really taken the shame away. You know, I used to have immense amounts of guilt and shame surrounding the actions that I took when I was in active addiction. And I have been able to heal through sharing my stories and letting other people know that they're not alone, you know? I think one of the biggest things that helped me was when I started sharing about being addicted while pregnant. Okay? A lot of people told me, you know, you don't want to share about that, Nicole. Everybody will judge you. And they weren't lying. Even other drug addicts judge me. Okay? Even other drug addicts treat me like fucking shit because I'm honest about my addiction while I was pregnant. And I think that was the hardest part about coming out and talking about being addicted while pregnant, because I expected to be judged from people who don't understand the disease of addiction, but I didn't expect it from my own people, from my own peers, you know? And so when I started sharing about that, it was hard for me. That was very hard. And I remember the first time I made a video about it on TikTok, and it kind of went viral, like 200,000 views or some shit like that. And I had so many horrible hate comments on it. People telling me that I didn't deserve to have my son. It's 103 outside here, y'all, just so you know. So I'm hot. Even in the house, I'm hot. People telling me that I didn't deserve to have my son and that I should be, you know, ashamed of myself, and my son should be taken away from me even though I'm clean and sober today and doing the right thing, you know. And I still get comments like that. I still get horrible comments from people about that. But what I try to do is I try to remind myself that I'm not here for those people, okay? If you don't like my content or you don't like me, I'm not here for you. You know what I mean? I'm here for people who can relate to my content, who understand what I'm saying and what I've gone through, and want to, you know, want to be a part of my little squad over here. I worked hard to get sober, you know. I didn't take the easy way out. I had got a comment today on my Suboxone video that I made. This guy said, "You just took the easy way out." Hold up. Wait a minute, honey. Wait a minute. Okay. I went to 30-day residential treatment. I went through my full detox. Okay. Like, I cannot stand when people say, "Oh, you went on Suboxone, you took the easy way out." Because if anything, I took the harder way, because I still have a step to make when I come off of subs. You know what I mean? Hey, Liz. Do you understand what I'm saying? I still have that step to make. And hated it, my poor baby. Well, that's okay, girl. At least you weren't on drugs. Truth sets you free, and nobody is better than anyone else. Drugs or not, everyone has some horrid skeleton in their closet. Absolutely, absolutely. And so I don't like that whole narrative where people act like because a person is utilizing medication-assisted treatment that they're taking the easy way out. Like I said, if anything, it's harder, because we're adding an extra step to our whole recovery process. You know what I mean? I worked really hard to get and stay sober because I was addicted to multiple substances. I wasn't just an opiate addict. I wasn't just a benzo addict. I wasn't just a meth addict. Like, I was addicted to all these substances, and I used them all interchangeably. And I used them a lot. Meth, opiates, and benzos, I was on them for 15 years, you know, and bad off. And so getting on medication-assisted treatment doesn't keep me sober from methamphetamine. It doesn't keep me sober from benzodiazepines. It doesn't make I still have cravings for those substances, and I have to work through that. I have to do what I do to stay sober. And so that's why I have adopted a recovery, relapse prevention process of things that I do that help me whenever I do have triggers or thoughts of using. I have a whole system that I go through, and I was going to show you guys. This is my little notebook, okay? So I have a whole system where I'll come over here and I'll get my notebook out and I will write down, you know, my pros and cons list of getting high, because that is part of my system, okay? I write down the pros and cons of getting high on whatever drug that I'm struggling with, right? If it's benzos, I write down benzos. If it's meth, I write down meth. And then I get to see right there on paper, hey, the cons of getting high far outweigh the pros. The only pro for me of getting high is the feeling that I will get, because I won't even get relief, because I'll be so fucking worried and so ashamed, you know what I mean, that I relapsed. So I won't even get to fucking enjoy it. People are just ugly. I don't understand why they even comment. Just go on. Oh, girl, it's crazy. It's crazy. Hey, that's awesome, Christina. Thank you. I'm proud of you too. And so I get to see it right there on paper, like, oh, yo, it's not worth it. It's not worth throwing away 7 years of recovery. It's not worth throwing away my husband and I's relationship, or me and my son. Like, it's just not worth it anymore. And after I do my little pros and cons list, then I do my gratitude list. And I literally look at my life from the past, and I'll look at it. I'll say, okay, when I was in active addiction, I was homeless. Now I have a home. When I was in active addiction, I lost custody of my son. Now I have my son. When I was in active addiction, I lost my car. It got impounded. Now I have a car. When I was in active addiction, I fucking, what was I going to say? Oh, I lost my jobs. Now I have jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, now I have totally been returned to greatness again. So recovery is gaining back what you lost, right? And so by that definition, baby, I am recovering, because every single thing that I lost, I have it back now. Everything. Every single thing. And I work really, really hard to maintain that, you know? And so when I see people commenting things to people that are struggling with addiction, or that are on MAT, or that are sober and, you know, proud of themselves and talking about it, and they're being nasty, those people are either miserable in their life and saying nasty. Shit. Those people are either miserable in their life and they're doing drugs, or they're just miserable. Because who in their right mind, okay, who in their right mind comes over to some stranger's page that they've never met in their whole entire life and leaves a book about how stupid they are and da-da-da-da-da-da? Nobody. Who in their right mind obsessively watches someone else, screen records their videos, and posts about that person every single day? Somebody who's not mentally well. You know what I mean? Because if you focus on other people all day long, then what time do you have to focus on yourself? You're just going to end up fucking up. You know? So I try not to focus on the negative comments, but one of you guys had commented and told me that somebody was saying nasty things to you, and that's what I want to say. If somebody is saying nasty shit to you in my comment section on my reels, you need to tag me. You need to use the @ symbol, Nikki Pludre, and @ me, so that way I will see the notification and I will come over there. Okay, I will come over there and I will block that person so fast that their fucking head spins. All right, and I'll delete their motherfucking comments and they can go sit on it and spin somewhere else. I don't want anybody to be afraid to like interact on my content because people are being nasty to you. So you just have to let me know, okay? I had 14 months clean on the 7th of this month, and I just want you to know I love your reels. Hey, Laura, thank you. I appreciate you, girl. Hey, Jamie, someone who is very mentally unstable. So sorry people are dicks. Yeah, it's okay, though. Like, I do understand that it comes with the territory, being on social media, you know, but some of it is just overkill. You know what I mean? Like, I can take your basic hate comment here and there about my weight or my teeth, but sometimes people just get so out of control. Okay. So what are y'all doing today? How is everybody doing in their sobriety? Are any of you guys struggling? And that's another thing I want to tell y'all. If you're not sober, I want you can come and hang out too. Like, I want you to know if you're not sober, you're exactly who I want to be here. And I want you to know that I'm here to support you. And whenever you're ready to get sober, I will be here to help you out. If you don't want to get sober, that's okay too. I'll still be here to support you. I wish that the non-addiction people would understand because it's hard day by day. I am 4 years sober, but I still struggle every day, but I lift it up to my higher power. Yeah. So I see these comments that say, well, it's a choice, right? It's a choice. You chose to do that to your life. You can't blame anybody else but yourself because you made that choice, right? These people are so ignorant and uneducated, okay? So let's talk about this. For some people, yes, the disease of addiction starts out with them making the choice to pick up a drink or a drug, right? That's what sets off their addiction. But for a person like me, I had the disease of addiction inside. I had the disease of addiction before I ever used drugs or alcohol. Okay? Ever since I was a little girl, I can remember being overly addicted to sugar, food, spending money. Everything had to be to the extreme, right? And so I was an addict before I ever put drugs in my body. And I don't think some people understand that for a lot of us, addiction is a disease, right? It's a disease of the brain. Now, I also believe that there are a lot of people who don't have the disease of addiction and they're in recovery and they're sober because they stopped doing drugs. Now, listen to this. These people are people that like abuse alcohol or abuse cocaine. Maybe they got pulled over and got a DWI and they were like, damn, I got to make a change because I'm going to lose everything, right? And so they go and they get sober, but they're not they're not addicts. They're not real alcoholics. They just had an abuse problem, right? And so when you have different kind of people all mixing together, then you get those people who had the abuse problem and they're like, I just chose to stop. I don't know what the big deal is. You can just stop. It's a decision you have to make. You know what I mean? If you're truly addicted and have the disease of addiction, you lose the power of choice when you're using substances because those substances hijack your brain. And I don't think people understand that, you know? I'm not making excuses for myself at all because I take full responsibility for the things that I did when I was in active addiction. You know I committed crimes. I did some bad shit. But what I am trying to explain to people is that for a lot of us, it's not that simple as just making a choice to stop. For a lot of us, it's a disease of our brain, almost like a mental disorder. Okay, and so you wouldn't talk crazy to somebody that struggles with bipolar disorder. You wouldn't give them a hard time for being on their bipolar medication, would you? So why are you judging people who struggle with addiction who have to be on medication? You know what I'm saying? So I know that a lot of people on Facebook also are just really, like I said, closed-minded and sheltered and uneducated. And so Facebook is the worst place for it, honestly. I just ignore them because some people are not willing to try and learn. Like they don't even want to hear anything you have to say. Or they're people that have like really bad resentments against people who have addiction because they have someone in their life who struggles with the disease of addiction. I'm fixing to lay down and talk to y'all. And so whenever I come into contact with somebody like that who like has a real strong resentment towards addicts, I always ask them like, why? Who hurt you? Who made you feel like this? And normally it's because they love somebody. They love somebody who's an addict, and watching them kill themselves has just taken a toll on them, you know? And I can relate to that. Even me being an addict, I can relate to that. My husband relapsed in 2020. And when I tell you guys, I was so angry. I reacted out of anger and fear, and I was yelling at him and everything. And I did everything wrong. All the things that I shouldn't have done are what I did, you know? And it wasn't until I started reading this book right here, Codependent No More by Melanie Beattie, that I was able to identify that I was codependent and that I needed to help myself. And I needed to back up, you know what I mean? And let him be where he was going to be. Because if I didn't, I was going to end up relapsing myself, you know? So, anyway, did y'all see that video where I put up about my friend Kelsey who bit her 5 fingers off? So, somebody had asked me the other day, hey, Nicole, do you have any experience with bath salts? And I was like, I've never done bath salts. But I know somebody who has. So, when I was on TikTok last year, I was scrolling through and I saw this girl who had her missing fingers like this, okay? And she made a video and it said, I bit my 5 fingers off. And I was like, hold up. Hey, I gotta stop. So I watched her video and then I called her, like I messaged her, and I was like, please come and tell your story on my channel, please. And so she came and she joined me for a live and she told her story. And this is what happened. So she was a heroin addict, okay? And she had been in and out trying to get sober, relapse sober, relapse sober. Well, at this time she had gotten sober and she was living in a sober living house, I think. And something happened and she decided she was relapsing, right? Oh yeah, she was on methadone and she was abusing her methadone. You have to watch the video. I can't remember. But anyways, she was doing something that led her back to her addiction, right? So that night after work, she got off and she went to go. Oh, she had ADHD and she was getting prescribed ADHD medicines, and that kind of triggered her. There you go. So she went out to meet her dealer to get some heroin. And so the dealer wasn't there, but his girl was that sells for him. And so she got a bag of heroin and she took it and she went back to the house. Well, she was chilling at the house and she decided to, go outside and do it. Before she did that, she asked her brother, hey, will you bring me a glass of water? He was like, sure. So she goes outside and she does this heroin that she thinks is heroin. And it's not heroin. It's bath salts. Okay, so from the time her brother went inside to go get her water and then come back out, when he came back out, she had gnawed her fingers off of her hand. Like, she has them like this. Okay? She said her brother came out, he saw her with her fingers in her mouth, and he pulled her hand out of her mouth and called 911. And the EMTs came and they rushed her to the hospital. But I want you guys to think about how much force it would take for you to chew your own fingers off. Okay? I want you to think about that. Think about that. Think about biting through your own fucking fingers. Bones and everything. Okay? Wow. Think about and imagine, because she was on bath salts, did she feel the pain, or was it that she couldn't feel any pain? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, wow, that is unbelievable to me. Like, that shit must have made her so messed up. You know what I mean? And she's not the only person that I've heard of doing stuff on bath salts like that. You guys know in the news they had a guy who ate another guy's face off. They had one guy who like the police tried to arrest him and he fought like 6 officers and was able to like fight them off because he had like superhuman strength from being high on bath salts. Yeah, Hannah, like think about that. Like, our teeth are not sharp. Like, they're not meant to do that, like to get through flesh and bone. But she did that, and it was so scary and sad all at the same time. But when I tell you guys, she is the sweetest girl ever. She's so nice. She has almost 2 years sober, and her story's on my channel, on my YouTube channel. So, Yeah, crazy, huh? I've never done bath salts, though. When I went into a coma for 7 days, and I got to the ER, the emergency room doctor kept asking me, Nicole, did you do bath salts? Did you do bath salts? And I was like, no, I did meth, Roxy's, Xanax, and Seroquel. That's it. I haven't taken any bath salts. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yes, because they couldn't get me to go to sleep. They could not get me to go out. And so they gave me 2 shots of Thorazine and 2 shots of Haldol. And then I went into a coma for 7 days. You relapsed yesterday? What happened, Angel? Are you going to get back on track today? So if you relapse, you just get back on track, okay? There's no point in sitting there and beating yourself up about it and being ashamed, okay? Don't do that. That's just a waste of time, all right? Just get right back on track, okay? Get right back on track. Oh, somebody stopped by. So, listen to me. This is what I had to do, Angel. I had to get a paper and put it on my front door that said, no, I don't want any dope. If you come by here, I'll call the cops. And I had to stick it on my front door for anybody that came by our house, because our house, people used to know. They used to come by here all the time. You know what I mean? So you have got to set that boundary. And so that way they won't even knock. If they see that, hey, I'll call the cops on you, leave, then they'll just leave. But it's okay, girl. Don't be upset or anything. Like I said, being ashamed of it will just keep you sick longer. I've been sober and bit my ex due to self-defense, and he ended up scarred and needed 7 stitches, but it was definitely a wake-up call to stay sober. Heck yeah, Carmen. Heck yeah. So don't let the guilt and shame of relapsing or using. You know what we say, Dr. B and me, he says that when a person picks up like that, like one time, it's called an episode of use. And as long as you don't continue to do it, it's not a relapse. It's called a lapse or an episode of use. And so the whole goal with people in sobriety is to, keep staying sober and lessen the episodes of use over time. So just keep on doing the right thing. Keep on staying sober one day at a time. You know what I mean? And the reason why is because there's a lot of shame that comes with relapse, so don't, and I'll think also a lot of people in the community also feel like a lot of shame about relapse. So don't beat yourself up. It happens to the best of us. And you're going to be on your way to sober life and better life today. And that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Okay, so what? You fucked up a little. Big deal. You know what I mean? Nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. If it was easy, if getting sober was easy, everybody would be doing it. Everybody would be doing it. Okay? So don't trip. Just pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and let's ride. Okay? And I bet you didn't even get to enjoy it, did you, honey? Because you got a head full of recovery. You can't enjoy getting high when you've been sober for a while. It ends up ruining it. You know what I'm saying? Look at this little white strip, you guys. I'm getting old. And I'll tell you this. What I did whenever I got sober is because I didn't love myself. Okay, I didn't love myself, and I didn't want to be sober for myself. So what I had to do, I had to use my son as motivation. Okay, so for many, many years, I used drugs and alcohol. And whenever my son got taken away, they were like, you have to go, you either have to go into treatment and get help, or you're going to get your son taken away forever, right? And so I was tripping, like, damn, dude, I am going to lose my son forever. What am I supposed to do? Well, the day that they came and took my son, I went into detox, okay? Then after detox, I was there for 5 days. I begged them to let me stay one more day because the day they were going to let me out on was a Sunday, and I needed to stay until Monday so that way I could transition from detox into residential. So I begged them, please let me stay one more day, right? And they were like, okay, we're going to let you stay another day. So I stayed till Monday, and then I transitioned into residential treatment on Monday. But I still didn't want to be sober for me, okay? I still was struggling. Well, I sat there and I thought, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I've got to do it. I've got to do something. I've got to bring something into my mind that will help me choose sobriety, right? And so I started using my son as motivation. When I tell you guys, I'm telling you the truth. I didn't want to fail my son. I didn't want to lose my son. So every day, if I thought about getting high, I thought about losing my son forever. Every day, if I thought about running away from the treatment center, I thought about my baby boy. And that got me through the first 30 days of residential treatment. Then once I got out, that helped me stay sober for over a year. Just simply using my child as motivation, okay? Because I didn't care about myself. I hated myself. I loved myself. I mean, I didn't love myself. I wanted to die, right? And so through that year of using my child as motivation, I began to heal and learn to love myself. And guess what happened? Throughout that year, I transformed and I began to want to be sober for me. I began to want to change my life for me. And that took time though, because I went from using drugs and alcohol every single day, you know what I mean? And ruining my life every single day to, you know, having to get sober. And it was a big change for me. So it's hard to learn how to love yourself overnight, right? And so it took time for me. So that's what I had to do. I had to use my son as motivation to help me. Then I learned to love myself, and then now I want to be sober for myself. Now I want to be sober because I don't want to ruin my life. Now I want to be sober because I don't want to lose everything I've worked so hard for. Now I want to be sober because I know, I know when I'm sober that I'm a better person. You know what I mean? Hey, Aaron. Thank you. I appreciate you. I know that when I'm sober, I'm better at everything. Everything I do is better when I'm sober. When I'm high and under the influence, I ain't worth a damn. You know what I mean?
Nate, are you hungry? What do you mean now?
I told Daddy to get McDonald's, Nate. Oh, you okay? Sorry.
That's my elbow.
Struggling with meth. I know how that goes, honey. I know how that goes. And a lot of people say, well, why do you struggle with meth? It's not like you become a dependent to it, right? Physically dependent to it. That's not what, you don't have to become physically dependent to struggle with a drug. I'm telling you guys. Methamphetamine is so psychologically addicting that it just fucks up your whole mind, man. And you think with meth, it makes you think that you're better with it. And that's how it always did me. Like, I always felt like, and I was delusional. I was delusional on meth because I wasn't getting shit done. Okay? The things that I thought I was getting done, I was just making a bigger mess. You know, like I would have all kinds of projects out and trying to fix this and that and do that and this. And it was just a shit show. It's a shit show. And I would just fuck shit up. And I was very promiscuous when I was high on meth. Yep. I was very promiscuous. And I didn't love myself. And I would just do whatever. You know what I mean? But here's the thing, okay? A lot of people say, well, I don't want to get sober from meth because when I am sober, like I don't have a sex drive or I don't feel this or I don't feel that, right? You guys, like when you get sober, you have to learn how to adapt to your new sober life, all right? It's not easy, believe me, I understand, okay? I went from wham bam, thank you ma'am, like 6 times a day to virtually nothing, okay? Virtually a screeching halt. And so I had to learn, you know, how to initiate sex with my husband in a sober way, communicating with him, because we both had that same issue. When we got sober, it was like, bam, it just stopped, right? And so now what we do is we talk about it. You know, if we are wanting to get intimate, we sit down, we let each other know, hey, this is a deal, this is how I'm feeling, let's do it. You know what I mean? And I'm not even gonna lie to you, like, if I don't feel like it, I make sacrifices for my husband because I love him. You know what I mean? And I think with any relationship, you know, you give and you take, you give and you take. But anyways, I love you guys. I just wanted to come on here and chit chat with y'all for a little while. I'm going to go eat me some French fries, and then I will be back on later on this evening. And we can talk about relationships and recovery. 6 o'clock, okay? 6 p.m. Central.